Vinod, I start with you. And you've had a back and forth already with each other on X. But who phoned who? Whose idea was this?
Well, we've always gotten along and stayed in very close touch. So when Keith was thinking of something new, we got together, and I think Keith and Samir talked, and Keith and I then followed up with a dinner, and that was it. It was pretty simple.
So, Keith, it sounds like this was an initiative or an idea that came to you first. You know, you were at Khosla and you've been at Founders Fund and you're back at Khosla. Why did you think of this? What's driving you in this decision?
Well, I spent 6 years at Khosla between 2013 and 2019, and we had an incredible run and track record there in KV4, KV5, and KV6, where I think every single MD produced multiple IPOs during that era. So sort of, obviously, we had significant traction together and sort of missed that. Secondarily, I learned a lot about deep technology investing, which I knew nothing about when I joined, about liquid biopsies to detect cancer, about the fundamental premise of AI and the potential of AI, about robotics, about actually low-cost rockets into space. And I kind of missed the education part of my job. I know a lot about a lot of things in technology and company building, but I was getting free education every day at every partner meeting. And so that was really exciting. I was considering new alternatives, and it just made so much sense to go back. We've been working together for the last 5 years. In some ways, it feels like I never left. I work very closely with Vinod's partners and MDs, Samir, as Vinod mentioned, and David Wyden. I probably see them at a board meeting once a week. So the interaction and the dialogue never changed. The overlap in our portfolios between Founders Fund and KV is substantial, going way back to 2013 and 14 with Affirm and Stripe, now OpenAI, but up-and-coming companies like the company I'm CEO of, OpenStore, Delian's company, Varda. We've been working together on 8 Sleep and changing the world by allowing people to sleep better. So the natural overlap just made this so logical.
Yeah. Keith, I can see the pull. What was the push? Why did you start to think you wanted something different?
Well, you always wonder, like, how do you be happier? How do you be more successful? Like, I try to do it once a year instead of like every day so I can sleep better. But you do realize like there are people in environments that you thrive in, and there's environments that are better for other people. What I do really well is invest very early, mentoring and serve as a consigliere to founders, and have high impact in ambitious founders' visions and achieving those ambitions. And that's a great fit with how Vinod has built Khosla Ventures from the very, very beginning. And so that was so ideal for what I like to do and how I like to compete in the world.
Vinod, where then to put Keith's expertise? You do have these overlapping investments. Is it that he's going to be on the ground with founders? Is it building out Miami?
I think the goal is very simple. We are not in the investing business. We are in what we call the venture assistance business, assisting entrepreneurs build large companies. That's the part of Keith's skill set that is extremely valuable. One thing to realize about the partners, the MDs at Khosla Ventures, is everyone is very, very different. We're not similar skill sets. So we have real diversity in skill sets. And Keith just adds to it. And the more diversity you have in your skill sets, the better decisions you make and better company building. Most people in the investing business really don't know company building, and Keith does. And so that's why I think he's such an important addition to our team.
Keith, the word that Vinod used for you a lot was mentor. And it's interesting, you were just talking about your learning in deep tech, your background in fintech. And I'm just really interested mechanically, there must be some portfolio companies at Khosla that were there when you were with the firm first time around, and there are new ones. So you have an opportunity to get involved with new companies. And I wondered if you had a wish list without making it awkward with Vinod virtually sat beside you. And actually, specifically, does OpenAI make that list? Because you could do some work there, given recent events.
Obviously, I'd like to find new ambitious founders who want to change the world and have impact in their lives and have impact in society. That's the primary goal. There are a few companies, actually, this may surprise you, that I invested in more than 5 years ago that I'm still on the board of. Fair being one, Affirm being another. So, there's a lot of continuity there. And then there's some founders who I invested back in my day, 2013 to 2019, that want me back. So we can always consider that. But really, we want to look forward to what is the future of technology? How do you change society? How do you make society better? And who are the iconic founders who have potential to do that, which is very rare. And I have to go find them before other people do.
Vinod, you got a lot of money to put to work. Khosla also has been deeply active, I think the most active deployer of venture capital in fourth quarter. Is that going to be the way you look at the first as well?
We don't look at the rate at which we are investing. We look at the rate at which we're getting great entrepreneurs to work with us. So we don't have a pace or a strategy around rates. Our focus is very much on when do we run into a great entrepreneur, how do we convince them to work with us, and how can we help them build a company. So we don't keep track of industry metrics or where we stand in terms of rate of investing. It's very much focused on when we see the right opportunities. What's surprising is through 2021 and 22, our rate of investing didn't change very much, though the industry went through real up cycles and down cycles. But if we look internally at the number of major investments we make per month or per year, our rate has stayed relatively constant. We didn't increase dramatically from 2018 to 2021, and we didn't decrease significantly from 2021 to 2023.
Cycle agnostic. I'm interested, Keith, in cultural differences. You've spoken about how when you were at Khosla, the Monday meeting, the all-important gathering of the partners, the sharing of information, the stress testing of ideas, and then at Founders Fund, how everyone sort of had their own mini business models. They're sort of a portfolio manager as such. But is there more autonomy for you at Khosla vis-a-vis Founders Fund or not?
Well, I always had autonomy at Khosla, but we had very spirited, vigorous debates about the quality of thinking behind any investment, whether it was something I was championing or something Vinod was championing. And I did miss that. I think it made me sharper, even though it was ultimately my decision on whether to invest and on what terms to invest. But just listening to Vinod or listening to David speaking in the back of my brain, or Samir, actually did make me a better investor. And sometimes not because they were critical, sometimes because they led me to double down on things that I liked, but they encouraged me to be even more aggressive. And so it was just very, very, very helpful to me as a person.
Vinod, yourself and Keith now. Oh, sorry, please continue.
Yeah, I just want to add to it. Our strategy is very much bold bets, early bets, and impactful bets, societally impactful bets. What that means in practice is we have to invest in outliers, not what everybody else is investing in. And because of that, we have an unusual investment process. I don't get to approve investments. Any of the MDs can decide to make any decision, but they have to listen to all the other MDs' opinions first. So very much operate like a group, but we want an MD to believe in what they're doing, and they independently decide to invest or not. I don't get to make that call for others. They don't get to make that call for me. And then the other half of the administration of the firm is very, very unanimous. So we are quite different in how we make decisions from most other venture firms.
Vinod, those MDs, including Keith, are going to have a lot more cash to play with. You just closed $3.1 billion in 3 new funds, I believe, from sort of seed through to growth stage. How are you going to assess Keith's performance? This is an awkward live television scorecard set up for the year.
It's very simple. So one thing that's very unusual for Khosla is we don't have companies or investments assigned to people, we don't measure individually. So we have no measurement system. How much profit did you make? Which investment did you bring in? Because everything's a team effort. We even transfer opportunities. One person may be on the board of a company, and when they reach a different stage, we'll assign somebody else. So we don't measure. I personally mostly look at both at the MD level, but more importantly at the next level, what kinds of questions do investment partners ask? How insightful are those questions? So evaluation is much more about the questions than the answers or the opportunities.
I also remember when I first joined Khosla in 2013, there was a job spec for MDs. And one of the first bullet points was, you're the first person the founder calls. And I think that's an ingredient in success, which is if you're so helpful, so insightful, so reliable, and so trustful that the founder, when they have problems or challenges or opportunities, they call you before anybody else on the planet, you're going to do pretty well in venture.
Right. Keith, we have 30 seconds, but it's an election year. Peter Thiel is a political beast. How did that factor in? And do you and Vinod pay attention to the election this year?
I won't speak for Vinod, but obviously I pay attention as an amateur to politics.
Vinod, are you paying attention?
I do pay attention, but I'm registered independent. I used to be a Republican till the climate issues became predominant and then became an independent.
Yeah.
I do think that there's a 50% probability the face-off won't be between Biden and Trump.
And lastly, we got 10, 20 seconds. More Miami, do we think, Keith?
Well, I love Miami, but I'll be in the Bay Area. I have a lot of portfolio companies that were founded in the Bay Area. I'd like to attend partner meetings as much as possible because I think they are really useful in understanding the portfolio, and the vigor of the debate and the incisive questions is better in person than on Zoom. But I'm going to stay in Miami.